you could argue in some respects the Bills have already blown their window because they're into the Josh Allen second contract. The time to do it is when your young quarterback is on a rookie deal. And look at Cincinnati. They've got great players who aren't making much money. It allows them to pay other players more money, and the total roster ends up being among the top five, whereas the Bills aren't. And that's something else Brandon Beane got into yesterday. The advantage the Bengals have because Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are still so early in their careers and their compensation is limited by the league-wide rookie scale. Have a listen to Brandon Beane talking his way with reporters through that reality.
They right now are on the advantage of a rookie quarterback contract. And, they had some lean years, and without getting too much into their build. And, I don't want to suck bad enough to have to get Jamar Chase. Like, he's a heck of a talent. I'd love to have him, but you gotta go through some lean years to do that. And, they were able to get Burrow 1, and I don't remember where Chase was drafted, but it was pretty high. And those guys are on their rookie deals. We're paying Stephon Diggs a pretty hefty number. We're paying Josh Allen a pretty hefty number. So there is the constraints of the cap.
Jamar Chase was 5th overall, by the way, in 2021. He's in year 2. Joe Burrow in year 3. He was the first overall pick, obviously. And I get it. You have to be a crap team to get yourself in position to get the best players. And then you've got to get it right when you get a Joe Burrow and a Jamar Chase. You don't want to get yourself a Jamarcus Russell or a busted receiver. You want to scout properly. You want to make the right decision. You want to develop those players. But it's happened for the Bengals. And, the Bills are one of those teams that's always drafting so low that yeah, what do you do? Well, this goes back 10 years almost, but, they went all in to trade up and get Sammy Watkins. They thought they were getting their Jamar Chase. Different regime altogether. But, that's the problem. And now what will the Bills do? Will they get antsy? Will they start saying F them picks and try to trade up and get a guy? See, I feel like what's happening now, aggression is going to yield to desperation potentially. That they're going to do something that maybe they wouldn't and shouldn't otherwise do to try to rectify the situation quickly, and it may blow up in their face. They need to guard against that. They need to guard against overreacting to this reality that they're caught in the big money years for Josh Allen, and they feel like the only way they're going to get a great player is to get him in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that. It's certainly maybe their best avenue as far as adding up everything that makes sense there and money-wise and all that. The draft, sure, right? Hey, the Bengals, let's just get in on that first off. They're going to be in the same boat here after the year. Joe Burrow, it's year 3. He's going to get a contract next year in this offseason. It's coming. So they're going to have to start wiggling their way through this too. But, I think overall and generally, hey, there's still ways to do that. We know that you can improve your football team. It doesn't necessarily have to be huge splash name players. It doesn't. Again, look at what Kansas City did. They opted to go, wait, okay, we've got Patrick Mahomes, we got this offensive line. We can't pay Tyreek Hill, right, $1 billion. All right, that's fine. We're going to let him go. But then they found some other guys and some value signings that made sense for their football team that, don't replace Tyreek Hill, but replace the element. Oh, there's Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Yeah, he runs 4.29. That's right. So when we want to go deep, we can kind of scare you with him. Oh, there's Juju Smith-Schuster. Right? So they found ways to find some difference-making value, players there that weren't huge money. And to me, that's where Buffalo is just dropping the ball right now. It's lack of explosive players on both sides of the ball. And I think the game says that. Last year's game says that. I mean, Tyreek Hill catches the ball and just runs through the defense. Nobody's even close in Buffalo. It's not even close. And I know it's Tyreek Hill and he can fly, but they just never have that type of guy. And then you can even flip that over to the defensive side of the ball. That's why we were excited about Von Miller, but we saw how much they missed Von Miller the other day. We saw it all down the stretch, You know, their defense did not look the same. And then you talk about the explosive thing too. You go, yeah, well, they're not that explosive. Explosive teams can play man-to-man at times. Buffalo can't play man. That was a huge problem. You're playing the best zone quarterback in football in Joe Burrow, and they knew, man, we can't play man-to-man because there's no way we can match up with these guys. They have to become a more explosive team on both sides of the ball. It can't always be Josh Allen making magic like we saw in the game, the touchdown drive. Look how hard it was. Hey, Josh Allen design runs. Josh Allen laser in between people. Josh Allen another design run. Josh Allen buy some time, throw a deep out route to the right. I mean, and that's where, and then there's Joe Burrow going, oh, boom, boom, oh, boom, oh, boom, right? And again, that's where it's a little different, and that's kind of where I look at it. They're a team that's very close. We know that. But it's like you've said a bunch, you know, very close is 4 or 5 plays. 4 or 5 plays seems close, but it's getting those type of guys to make those 4 or 5 plays. And that's where the Bills don't have the same guys like we saw the Rams have last year, not even in the same stratosphere as the 49ers or the Eagles as far as those guys we're talking about, Mike. You brag all the time about those 49ers guys. They got them growing on trees everywhere. Right? And then, you know, you talk about the AFC teams. Of course, they got a handful of them as well. So that's where I really look at it. And I know I'm hitting on the same thing there over and over, but I think it's a glaring need. And it's something that pops up when I talk to coach friends around football, Mike. It's the same thing. You know, I hear the same thing there too, that they just think it's too much on Josh Allen as well.
27-10 is in 4 or 5 plays, though. 27-23 is 4 or 5 plays. They didn't lose by 4 or 5 plays on Sunday. They got their asses kicked at home by a team that we would have thought was inferior to them.
Well,
so that's why this one stings. Last year,
right.
It felt like they got screwed. It felt like they should have won. It felt like they were good enough to go to the Super Bowl and win it. And for a lot of this year, it felt like that was the case. The losses felt like aberrations where they dramatically outplayed the Dolphins, but still lost the game. Outplayed the Vikings, arguably, blew a big lead in that one, lost the game. Blown leads were the problem, not building leads. This loss, the final chapter of their book of 2022, there was no lead to be blown. They were down 14-0. They had an opportunity to be the team that finally comes back from a big deficit, but they just couldn't do it. They're not built to come from behind, not with the players they have around Josh Allen, because what happens is you see, and Chris, at some point, it is about Josh Allen and how he performs under specific circumstances. He may be a guy who, when it's 0-0 or 7-0 Buffalo or 14-3 Buffalo or 21-10 Buffalo, is firing on all cylinders. He may just not be a guy who brings you back from big deficit. He may be a guy who tries to do too much when game starts to get away from him, and that comes down to coaching. You got to coach him through those spots like Doug Peterson did with Trevor Lawrence in the wild card round. But I'm having a hard time thinking of some signature moment from Josh Allen when the team was down 10, 17 points, and he put the team on his back and carried them to a comeback, and we were like, wow, Josh Allen. It's always when things go well from the get-go and the Bills come out and kick your ass, and they're impressive that way. So some of it's on
you're short selling that. There's so many games where they're down a touchdown, they're down fourth quarter, he comes down, answers. Of course, the game with Mahomes last year and all that. I mean, there's and
that I know was back. I'm talking about a lost cause. When has there been a lost cause Bills game where Josh Allen morphs into an even bigger superhero than he is? He had his chance on Sunday. He had his chance all day long, and that's it. That's the biggest game of the year.
Yeah,
I don't care what you did in any other game. I'm going to apply the same standard I apply to the Vikings to the Bills. If I was a Bills fan, I would say I don't give a shit about what you did all season long. The biggest game of the year at home, you didn't answer the bell, you didn't show up, and now you're getting trolled by Eli Apple incessantly because when the lights were the brightest, you didn't show up. If I was a Bills fan, that's what I'd be feeling right now.
But I know, but again, we saw a lot of signs coming down the stretch, Mike. I mean, he had to drive him on a game-winning, game-tying clutch drive to tie the Dolphins. It wasn't easy against the Jets. They barely got by Detroit. Again, they got outplayed the last game of the year by the New England Patriots, except they returned 2 kick returns. There's been a lot of that. That's where it's all on him at times. That's where it's just too much. Yeah, there's no 17-point comeback win, but okay. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks we could say that about. I don't see a signature comeback win from Joe Burrow like that either. So, that's not. I don't think, he's the least of their problem.
Whoa. Do we forget the AFC Championship from last year?
Okay, you're right. Hey, I'm wrong.
The first half
you're
of
right.
Kansas
That
City?
was epic.
Biggest game of the year?
Okay, you're right.
Yeah,
I was wrong.
That's the point. You gotta thread one of those needles in a gigantic spot to build the legend. And Josh Allen has built his legend in a different way. He's built his legend by being 6'6", rocket arm, carved from stone, untouchable, 70-yard missiles with the flick of the wrist. But at some point, it's on someone. I don't know who.
Well, he did it against Kansas City last year, Mike.
Fan.
They have to kick the ball, and the defense has to stop a team from driving in 13 seconds.
I know.
That's again. He needs some help. It can't always just be, hey, Josh. Now there's 15 seconds.
But that's my point.
Well, okay. He's been extremely clutch.
That's
the
my
numbers
point.
all bear that as far as fourth quarter comebacks, fourth quarter drives. It's so I get what you're saying as far as that, but let's not boil it down to, oh wait, the guy who's definitely one of the 3 best players in football now is the problem with the team. Come on, that's crazy.
Well, you know what? A week ago, he was definitely one of the 2 best players in football, and now Joe Burrow's pushed his way into the conversation by knocking out Josh Allen.
Joe's the man,
and narratives change. Narratives change, Chris. Narratives change, and results on the field are what make your legacy as a football player. That's what's shaped my attitudes about Kirk Cousins. All I'm saying is, as we search for answers in Buffalo, we can't just give Josh Allen a pass. I don't think you should. I don't think I should. I don't think anyone should. When you have an outcome like you had on Sunday, 27-10 at home, when the Bills had previously been 13-1 at home in the postseason, and the snow was flying, which felt like it should have been a Buffalo Bills day. I think that in this effort to figure out what the hell happened, I think that everyone should be under the microscope, including Josh Allen. That's my point. And it gets back to the point that I've made over and over again. If you've got a true franchise quarterback, which Josh Allen clearly is, what are you doing to coach him up? What are you doing to get the most out of him? Are you just saying, and this is one of your narratives, it's fine. Josh will take care of it.
Exactly.
We don't need to have a super creative offense.
There's some of that going on.
We don't need to have bells and whistles.
Yes.
We don't need to have all that. Josh Allen will take care of things.
Yes, of course. That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, again, let's go through it more constructively then. Okay. I mean, we know we're taking Jamar Chase over Stephon Diggs for sure, right? All right, so that we're doing. Stephon Diggs is really good. You go to the next receivers, all right? You're taking all Bengals receivers. I mean, all of them. And then
absolutely.
Right. So
absolutely.
Gabe Davis is the 4th receiver on the Cincinnati Bengals. That's the next weapon. Now, they got Joe Mixon and Samaje Perine, who I would say is better than both backs. Both of those guys are better than the guys the Buffalo Bills have. Let alone we know Josh Allen's the best runner the Buffalo Bills have. So that's what we're trying to say. Let alone there was no Trey Hendrickson on the field, in that game. They don't have the safeties, that Cincinnati has. They don't have DJ Reader, who's maybe the best run-stopping nose tackle in football. They don't have corners on the outside who are, can play man-to-man. And Eli Apple, hey, cover Cooper Kupp all game, or, Cooper Kupp or whoever. They don't have that. So that's, to me, what I'm trying to say here. Yeah, to your point, Mike, they're a regular season team. They are a little bit. They feast on the poor. They do. We've seen that. Yeah, but in playoff football, the dynamics change. Coaches go outside their box a little bit. They start to change. They go, we got to go all in to stop this one thing. If we want to win this game, we got to do that. And that's where the Bills get exposed. And, that to me, again, Josh Allen was not his best year. I know he was careless with the football. It wasn't perfect. I get that. But I'm just saying that you're going to get some of that when the guy has to do too much all the time. That's all I'm saying. And it's fair to evaluate him. I get it. He made some mistakes this year. They still were really damn good. They just need some blue chip, cream of the crop type football players. And I just think, again, when you name the players on the other teams that are still left, they're not even comparable to what the Bills got in that department.
And it's also coaching. Because look at the net difference between Brian Daboll and Ken Dorsey. Look at what happened with the offense. And this is again why I say, especially if you have a franchise quarterback, probably a good idea to have an offensive head coach, because that's the main guy. If your head coach is your offensive coordinator, as a practical matter, if he's the play caller, if he's the Sean Payton, the Andy Reid, even though Andy Reid's delegated, still, if you're an offensive wizard at the top of the chain, you're the one that is joined at the hip with the quarterback. We don't think of Eric Bieniemy joined at the hip with Patrick Mahomes. We think of Andy Reid joined at the hip with Patrick Mahomes. Zach Taylor joined at the hip with Joe Burrow. Sean McVay joined at the hip with Matthew Stafford. I know this isn't the best year to make that comparison, but last year it was pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Sean McDermott's never going to be joined at the hip with Josh Allen. And the guy who is joined at the hip with Josh Allen, if it works, bye-bye. I'm a head coach now. See ya. I'm going to go join myself at the hip with Daniel Jones. And we don't have to worry about, after a great season, I know Mike Kafka may end up becoming a head coach somewhere else, but so what? Brian Daboll's the guy there who's joined at the hip with Daniel Jones. The offensive coordinator is just an enhancement to that relationship. I'm not trying to get Sean McDermott fired, and I'm not trying to keep defensive coordinators from getting hired. But when you have a true franchise quarterback, Chris, I think you need to have an offensive head coach, because you can't have these little dips that come from going to Brian Daboll to Ken Dorsey, because I think that's one of the problems. And Gabe Davis last year, he showed that he can be great. 4 touchdown catches in the biggest game of the year. Why wasn't that built upon? What went wrong in the organization from last January to this January to have a result where there was an uptick in his production from
he only had
35
500
catches
yards
to 48.
last year.
Right, 549 to 836, but it wasn't the kind of jump we thought we were going to have. And I don't know. Stephon Diggs threatened by Gabe Davis? I don't know. Did he get the proper support from the entire organization to become what we thought he was going to become when he had 4 touchdown catches last year against the Chiefs? I don't know. But all I know is pass, fail, fail. Whether it was coaching, whether it was just broader support, whether it was Gabe Davis not challenging himself to play like he did in that game. There's a lot. What do they say? Success has many fathers and failure is an orphan. Well, let me tell you, in Buffalo, I think failure has many fathers. And just based upon this half hour we've been talking about it, there's a lot of things that went wrong in Buffalo, and there's a lot of things that need to be fixed, which tells me they got a lot of work to do to get to where they want to be. Maybe more than one off season can.
Well, the difference between the divisional championship and getting to the championship game and getting to the Super Bowl is there's a big difference usually in that quality of the football team, as we see. I mean, there is, and I think that's what we're describing right now. We are. And again, I think your points are real, but I don't think it's so much that we panic and start to go, oh gosh, we got to blow it up or make a major move here. There's still a ton of good.
I'm saying that.
I know.
I'm not saying that.
I know.
I'm just saying don't expect a little spit and polish and you're going to win a Super Bowl. I mean, if you're a Bills fan and you're trying to set your expectations for next year, I don't think you go into 2023 saying, it was a little fluky there. We're good to go. Let's just keep chopping wood. Let's keep knocking on the door. Let's keep pounding. I feel like they got to do more. And first they got to identify what they need to do. That's the problem. Look at the conversation we're having. I guarantee you those conversations are happening inside the organization. What exactly do we have to do? And it's easy to say, well, the Bengals are lucky because they've got Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase on rookie contracts. Wait till they got to start paying those guys. You know what, Chris? I got a feeling they're still going to be pretty damn good when they have to pay those guys.
Right. No, I agree. And I think everything we're saying here is, constructive. We respect the Bills. There's a lot of good things about their football team and where they are as an organization. I think also too, we gotta take into account the human aspect of what we saw on Sunday. They're a team. There's no team that went through the emotions and the roller coaster of human, ups and downs that they did this year too. So that could also play a part in them being a little flat on Saturday. I don't care what you say. They went through, even before the DeMar Hamlin thing, we went, man, the Bills have had to go through a lot this year. Then they got the DeMar Hamlin thing, and we went, holy crap. I mean, wow. And I think some of their players spoke to that the last few days. They probably were emotionally exhausted in a lot of ways. So I think there's that aspect as well. But, I think all in all, yeah, you said it right. There's got to be something there that's drastically done to change their football team. We see a matchup of two every year where, they seem to be in a little bit of a problem and can't oh, wow, all right, whoa, they can't match up with this team. This is hard. And that's where they got to figure out a few things. And, I don't know where it starts, Mike. I mean, as far as the positions of importance, right? If you were to break it down for the Buffalo Bills and you just looked at it and you said, what's the number one position they got to address? Or what's the top three positions? Let's address those first, and then we can rank them. But how, where would you start if you're Buffalo?
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.